Okay. Had a weird dream last night. Decided to run my voice through the HMD just to be sure and it came out negative. Oh well. My main priority at the moment is to find out how the O5 are involved in this anomaly. But there's also the issue of figuring out what the hell is happening at this site. The plan of action is to infiltrate the O5 access section of SCP-5545 file and find out what I need to know and hopefully explain everything. I'm also still curious about the redacted entry and the MTF picture. I read through the file again and noticed that Site 344-2 is said to be conceptual, meaning that it's an idea space of some kind. Not sure what that entails or how the hell I could access it, but that means -2 is also contained in an idea space. The containment procedures also say that it's kept under key via association lock, which I assume mean that it's associated with the concept here being contained, and it becomes a concept. Reality, I have no idea. I am really bad at talking when it's this late. In reality, I have no idea. I've never heard of it nor seen it used in another article. It could mean anything for all I'm aware. SCP-5545-2 also seems to cause suicide in some individuals and directly kills others. I don't know what the criteria for each are. Judging by the amount of black boxes on the reacted report, seems our mystery friend died differently from everyone else. Could be red herring, the Foundation does that sometimes, but I doubt it for this anomaly. I plan on infiltrating the office in 2 hours. Hopefully the new information will help me crack the case open. Jason Monroe. 11/24/2019. Shit. I haven't written for almost a day, but I think it's safe to now. Just need to collect my thoughts. I waited for another opportunity to sneak into Reed's office. At about 11:45, he got up and walked out, giving me my chance to enter. I made sure to memorize the layout of everything on his monitor so I could set it back to how it was before without arousing suspicion. The goal was to find some way to access the entire file using only what was available on the computer. Considering Dr. Reed likely had access to it, and the device wasn't capable of connecting to the Foundation intranet, it must mean that the software already contained the clearance, and I just needed to activate it. Sure enough, after a few minutes of searching, I found them. The credentials were stored in a hidden file in some non-conspicuous folder. I recognized it as the late 059 signature code, mainly from its identifying features. It's complicated, but I have some experience. The key was clearly outdated and non-functional everywhere else, but since this was an isolated system, it worked like a charm. I punched in the numbers and the file let me in. I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. The first thing I saw there was the extended discovery log. It said that almost 30 MTF members were sent in there, along with over 70 D-Class. Pardon my language, but what the fuck? Who kept sending these people into -1 instances? Was it Reed? And if it weren't disturbing enough on its own right, I found a complete recollection of all my previously written notes, even the discarded ones, logged on the console that does not have access to the Foundation intranet. I doubt it was Reed for a few reasons. Mainly the notes were carried on me at all times, and there's a non-key lock on my door. So I'm assuming that the O5 Council is somehow involved. I have no idea, but someone is watching me. Then Reed walked in. The following is a transcript of the conversation between Director Jason Monroe and Dr. Gabriel Reed, and was not included in the note. Director Monroe? Shit. Are you aware that entering my office without my permission is a breach of protocol? Director Monroe, are you aware that sending 70 fucking D-Class into your pet anomaly is also a breach in protocol? Momentarily silence. Oh, I can't talk, sorry. You've read the SCP-5545 file with O5 credentials? I am certain you saw the warning. Director Monroe, I don't fucking care anymore. The site is under the influence of some kind of abnormality, and you're doing nothing to stop it. You're succumbing to it. Dr. Reed, I did not believe that is the case, Director. You have entered the site uninvited and violated its rules several times, and now have gone against O5 protocol. You may first face termination charges. Director Monroe produces concealed carry-on from his coat. Dr. Reed does not react. Director Monroe, I'm here under order from O5 to ensure this anomaly is contained properly. You've been inadequate. Dr. Reed, on the contrary, your orders were given to assist in containment and everything has gone perfectly thus far. Director Monroe appears stunned. Director Monroe, what? Dr. Reed, return to your room, Director. You have everything you need. Director Monroe pauses, then slowly lowers his weapon. Dr. Reed moves from the doorway and allows the director to leave. End log. Following this, Director Monroe returns to his room, not reconcealing his firearm. We had a brief exchange. I lost my cool and reached something that stuck with me. You have everything you need. What does that mean? Does he know about my thoughts? How did he get access to my notes? Is he watching me somehow? How are all the O5 involved? What did they send me specifically? Is 5545 the source of all of this? What the fuck is going on? No one sent guards to detain or kill me yet. I think thus far I'm in the clear. But I did think. Jason Monroe, I feel like I'm going insane. Do I even know? It's a conspiracy. I've been thinking through my options here and all the clues I've gathered. And I've come to a few conclusions. For some reason, I haven't been detained or terminated yet, nor recalled from my duty. Along with Reed's statements and the unanimous O5 vote, starting to come to the conclusion that perhaps I'm here for a reason besides investigating the anomaly. That I've been playing a role for some higher purpose. That I've been a puppet on the string this entire time. The notes leading me to believe that somehow they had access to it beforehand. How's that possible? How long have I been here? Repeated amnestic use on this scale would surely show some side effects in me. Couldn't have been a memory wipe. Gosh, I'm really bad at reading at this time. I can't seem to find it out. Why am I needed here? I volunteered to come. It wasn't an O5 order. Did they expect me to? How? Memetics? It doesn't add up. I'm missing the final piece of this goddamn puzzle, and I'm sick of playing this stupid charade of cat and mouse. I need to end this. I've come up with a hypothesis, but with no way of proving it. SCP-5545-2 is contained in Site-344-2. That's what I've been told around 3 or 4 times now. Site-344-2 is a conceptual space, but nonetheless exists. If there's a way to get into conceptual Site-344-2, there's a way to find SCP-5545-2 and find out what the hell it is. It may constitute a containment breach, but I'm willing to risk it. I need to know. The part of my hypothesis I can't prove is that SCP-5545-1 is the entrance to conceptual Site-344-2. If I end up going into SCP-5545-1 and it will kill me and I'm not supposed to be there, Dr. Reed will be forced to prevent me from going. If it won't kill me, then I won't be dead. Great. If I'm supposed to be there, then I at least hope I'll get some answers, whether it's fatal or not. If I come out alive and there isn't some sort of grand plan and I'm just losing my goddamn mind, then I'll be terminated anyways for breaking an O5 order. There's nothing left for me to lose. There's a -1 instance directly across the hall from my dorm. I'll see you bastards on the other side. Addendum 4. Conclusion. The following is a video log of Director Jason Monroe's expedition into SCP-5545-1 and Conceptual Site-344-2. Recorded by a camera he stole from Site-344-1. Begin log. The sound of heavy breathing can be heard as Director Monroe walks to the SCP-5545-1 instance. The walls consist of white painted concrete, worn by age and deterioration. There is no discernible end to the hallway, with the far end being entirely dark. Light fixtures overhead occasionally flicker but do not turn off. The whirring of ventilation pipes is faintly audible. Monroe mutters momentarily about getting the camera to operate. Although the footage is slightly grainy, it is functional and records in decent quality. He sweeps the camera in both directions, revealing that no entrance or exit is visible from within this point in the anomaly. As Monroe continues to walk down the hall, the lights continue to flicker more sporadically, and the ventilation's whirring continues to increase in pitch. 2 minutes pass, and the flickering begins to quicken alarmingly. Monroe appears to panic and begins to hyperventilate. He stops walking and the camera turns towards his face briefly. All lights turn off. 3 seconds pass in absolute darkness, followed by the SCP-5545 instance quickly brightening. The hallway's appearance has entirely changed now. It appears ornamental, with yellow painted walls, elaborate rugs lining the floor, and wooden decorations. Lamps are present in regular intervals on the ceiling. Similar to before, the instance appears to extend indefinitely. Director Monroe is heard choking back a sob and frantically scans the area. He appears to shudder and draw a sharp breath. The camera shakes slightly as he readjusts the device to face forward. Director Monroe: I've seen this before. Director Monroe continues through the SCP-5545-1 instance at a normal pace, albeit with irregular breathing patterns and steps. The camera moves significantly more than it did prior. As Monroe continues, no noticeable changes are apparent in the hallway structure or behavior. 6 minutes go by without incident. Monroe halts suddenly, readjusting the camera's focus and zoom. At the far end of the hall there is a faint, flickering light visible, which Monroe briefly comments on quietly. He continues to walk, readjusting the camera occasionally to ensure the feed is clear. He persistently does so until approximately 5 meters from the exit. The camera stops moving, focusing onto the light. The SCP-5545-1 instance leads into a long room, its details unclear due to the camera's quality. At the far end, the shape of the light changes wildly and is occasionally obscured by a moving figure. The camera feed begins to sharpen slowly. As the footage clears, the light is revealed to emanate from a fireplace. Director Monroe takes a deep breath audibly and enters Conceptual Site 344-2. The room is large and poorly lit, the only sources of light being the fireplace and candelabras lining the walls. The ceiling is not in frame, and the walls seem to extend upward indefinitely. Statues with indeterminate facial expressions are spaced regularly nearby, both male and female in appearance. Monroe makes various noises, suggesting immense emotional distress and anxiety. Upon reaching the fireplace, Monroe moves the camera upwards and centers onto the fire. A single white thread hangs in front of it, unmoving. Director Monroe: oh God, no. Monroe does not move for approximately 1 minute. There is no discernible noise besides the crackling of the fireplace and the director's shallow breaths. The faint sound of creaking slowly becomes audible and increases in volume. Director Monroe becomes more distressed, and the string in front of the fireplace begins to swing. Monroe's breathing quickens significantly before he draws a deep breath and rapidly turns around. Director Monroe screams. The camera adjusts to reveal over 100 identical human cadavers with the appearance of Monroe, hanging from a multitude of white threads. All are dressed in different attire, ranging from farming garments to Class D jumpsuits, as well as approximately 20 in mobile task force gear. All appear to slightly swing from the strings in unison. In the center of the room, at the ground level, the corpse of a young teenage girl is suspended by the strings. Her body is perfectly preserved, though it does not show any signs of life. She is dressed in 18th century clothing. Unlike the cadavers hanging above her, she does not swing and is entirely motionless. Director Monroe: I remember. Oh, please, no. I'm reading this perfectly. Director Monroe drops the camera and sobs uncontrollably. There is no reaction, but the cadavers do not cease moving. How much longer will you do this? There is no response. The cadavers quickly rise out of the frame, and a single string lowers itself in front of Director Monroe. The corpse of the girl does not move, but the length of the room slowly diminishes until it is roughly equivalent in length and width. SCP-5545-1 is visible behind the girl. Director Monroe: I get it. You want me to make a choice? There is no response. Director Monroe: if I leave the conceptual site, you'll follow me. You'll follow me outside, but I'll be free. Your hallways will spread all over the world, and thousands will be brought here on my place to die. There is no response. Director Monroe, but if I die here, I'll be brought back again and again with a different life each time, killed over and over forever, but will be only me to atone for what I did. There is no response. Director Monroe, I'm sorry. There is no response. Silence elapses for 3 minutes. During this time, Director Monroe's breast becomes steadier, and he ceases crying. Director Monroe, the Foundation knew they needed me to come here. They needed me to keep you contained, and they needed me to make the right choice. To keep you here, and to keep me from leaving the hall. There is no response. That's why this happened, that's why it'll happen again. Why everything needed to be exactly set up this way. Why they had my notes from before. They knew exactly how the play would conclude because they had already read the script. There is no response. Director Monroe. Fuck it. Slowly, Monroe enters into the frame and approaches the string. He carefully picks up the end of the thread in his palm, and it begins to coil around his hand. The lights in the SCP-5545-1 instance turn off, followed by each candelabra in succession. As the thread snakes through his clothing and around his skin, Monroe looks directly at the girl's corpse. Director Monroe, how could I ever forget you, Emily? The ropes tighten, and Monroe spasms uncontrollably, his body collapsing to the floor. The fireplace extinguishes, leaving only darkness and log. The camera was recovered and logged according to standard protocol. You have one new message. To Gabriel Reed at scpfound.intra. From S-Overseer-9 at overwatchcommand.intra. Subject: Re SCP-5545. Dr. Reed, I would like to address your concerns one at a time. First, everything in the mock file is technically correct. Site-344-1 is used as an information processing base when not containing SCP-5545, and 18 people are the minimum requirement for maintaining a site on average. SCP-5545-2 is also contained via association log, but not to the concept of being contained. Rather, it's associated to SCP-5545-4's death. The phrase SCP-5545-2 is contained in Site-344-2, is specifically for -4, and is not actually relevant to the anomaly standard containment. As long as -1 and -2 are contained, so is -3, and since -4 is necessary to contain -2, it is contained as well. Second, no, you may not take an amnestic regimen. You have an assigned therapist, and your memory for prior cycles are necessary in case of future deviations. Third, our next -4 instance was found among a D-Class transfer, convicted for theft and assault. Considering how long the process takes for D-Class instances, your services will not be needed for at least 6 months. You will receive your extra pay over this duration. Fourth, I do not have the answers to your questions. We are still unable to determine the nature of SCP-5545-actions against SCP-5545-2 300 years ago, and won't be able to for the foreseeable future. We do not know why SCP-5545-1 are Hallway specifically, the methods SCP-5545-2 uses to propagate its goal, or why SCP-5545-2 will result from SCP-5545-4's refusal. There are simply answers we cannot know. It is not our job to rescue a murderer from the consequences of his actions. Our refusal to deliver him to Conceptual Site-344-2 in 2005 resulted in SCP-5545-3 manifesting, in order to force him to enter. We do not plan to risk thousands of deaths for nothing, and it costs us nothing to contain -2 by simply complying with its demand. It is not our job to research, and it is not our job to interfere. It is our job to secure, to contain, and to protect, nothing more and nothing less. With regards to Desk of 05-9,